You are listening to Charting Wealth for Wednesday, the 11th of January, 2017. Markets were flat, at least the S&P 500 was. As we look at our two-day chart, we see that the PPO, the price percent oscillator, which is very similar in calculation to the MACD, for those of you who are familiar with that, the price percent oscillator works on percentages instead of just the price of a security, so it makes it easier to compare, and also the absolute aspect of the situation keeps you from getting false positives or false negatives when you go back in time. So what do we see going on the PPO? Rotated over, going down on the two-day chart, back on the 30th. That's what our blue vertical lines, for those of you who are not just listening on audio but are looking at charts, you see that we have a blue vertical line on the 30th of December showing that we crossed over going down. Now, price movement turned around, however, on the two-day chart on the 3rd, 4th, the 3rd, 5th, and 9th. And then we have things leveling out and slowing down on the first day of the two-day chart on the 10th. Actually, yesterday, when I say yesterday, I mean the 9th of January, was a down day, just flat over the course of the day. We have an uptrend on our weekly chart as shown by a yellow line. That is our weekly trend, but we're in a downtrend even though the price is not doing that because the PPO crossover on the two-day. If we look at the we'll go to the 2-hour chart. What do we see going on? Well, we're in a downtrend there also. So we need to see price movement change if we're going to do anything on the S&P 500 and start moving up, crossing over on the two-day and crossing over on the 2 or the 4-hour chart to give us any hope of a jumping in point. Otherwise, we are not going to do anything. So where are we on the S&P 500? We're in a schizophrenic position. We have the weekly chart up, the two-day chart, and the 2-hour chart down. We're not doing anything there at this point. Now let's go back to our two-day chart. Move on to the Qs. It was up for the day, 0.22%. Remember, we had a crossover on our weekly chart at the end of this past week, and we've seen the market continue to climb. On the two-day chart, rotated over, going up on the 5th of January, again on the 7th of January, and what do we, I'm sorry, the 9th, Monday the 9th, the 7th would not have been the correct date. Crossed over on the 5th going up, that was Thursday, and then kept going up on the 9th, and now the first day of the two-day candle on the 10th, another bump up 0.22% like we said earlier. So we're in a confirmed up move on the two-day and a confirmed up move on the weekly crossing over on the Qs. So what's happening with our 2-hour chart? Because we have to have a pullback there before we can find any entry point. Well, a pullback may be occurring over the course of the day on Wednesday. We shall see if indeed that pullback occurs, crosses over going down. It is losing substantial derivative oscillator energy. We also see that the PPO is rotated over going down, heading toward the red signal line. If that crossover occurs and the Qs takes a bit of a breather and then rotates around and starts moving back up again, that, my friends, is a point for you to potentially jump in and hopefully find that sweet spot for making some virtual cash. Now, again, remember, we're not a stock calling service. We don't give you market trading advice. We're an education firm. We want you to train with us, learn how to read these charts. And let me tell you, let me just go back to that because I want to keep you motivated. You practice every day 10 minutes. You fill out your daily market worksheet, which you can find if you just simply go and sign up for our daily podcast. We will send it to you. Go to chartingwealth.com, put in your name, your email address. You will get links to the daily market worksheet, to the How to Read a Stock Chart video. That is 15 minutes of must-have information on what we do and how we do it. And you get the layout that we use at freestockcharts.com. You'd spend 10 minutes a day filling out that worksheet, listening to us, paying attention to what's going on. You start practicing virtual trades. I don't know how long it will take you. Will it take you 6 months? Probably longer. Will it take you a year? I doubt it. Will it take you 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? Hey, I don't care how old you are. The sooner you start, the sooner you're going to master this. And when you do, my friends, when you can read a stock chart, and you can say, time to jump in and make some money. Imagine what that does for you and for your family and for your future. It gives you mastery over markets, and it allows you to actually make money trading, investing. Instead of buying high and selling low, you're going to look at getting in low and selling high or higher. And I'm telling you, please just spend a few minutes with us every day. Please just commit yourself to it. But you know the one thing people won't do is be consistent and be persistent. That's why there's so many losers in the world. They just don't have the staying power. And I tell you what, the market doesn't yield up its knowledge to people who aren't willing to invest their time and energy into it. 10 minutes a day is all we ask. Let's keep moving. What do we see going on? Qs. Again, we've told you what to look for there. Once it rotates over and goes back up, you have a potential entry point on the Qs this week. Probably the only thing in the market you might have the opportunity to jump into safely throughout the course of the week. Let's next go to TLT. That's a 20-year bond fund. Are bonds reaching a bottom? Well, we saw our 2-day chart rotate over, going up on the 27th, followed by 22nd, followed by a rotation going up on the 2-hour chart back sometime around the 28th or so. And if we in fact jump into our 2-hour chart, we can actually see it was on the, let me see here. I've got so many lines here, it's hard for me to, there we go. It was on the 28th at noon, jumped over, moving up. Since then, sort of crossed back over. What are we trying to do with TLT? We can't do anything with it yet because we're still in a weekly down move. Now, some of you may, because we talked about this a lot, we talked about, are bonds making a bottom? Could you hop in somewhere around the up move on the 2-hour chart? Yes, you could have after the crossover going up on the 2-day. It is much more dangerous because all things being equal, the market tends to move in the direction of the biggest chart, which is our weekly. But of course, if you wanted to try to call a bottom, you could have tried. It would have worked pretty well for you because you would have gotten in somewhere, around maybe 118 or so, and it's already up to I guess the high, up to about 122 almost. So again, not the way we play though. We're going to wait for this weekly chart to rotate over, going up. And you know what's interesting about the weekly chart rotating over, going up? Looks like it's getting pretty darn close. Derivative oscillators lost tons of downward energy, and the PPO is slamming up toward the signal line. So we may see that happen at the end of the week, and the bottom may already be called on our weekly chart. Then we just wait for a pullback on that 2-hour chart, and we jump in and ride, baby, ride. Okay. Now let's go back to our 2-day chart. We'll check our last chart, which is gold. What is gold doing? Gold crossed over going up on the 30th. We saw the derivative oscillator flip over at the same time that the PPO did, still in a confirmed weekly down. We're still in a downtrend, but gold has rotated over on the 2-day chart. We don't have any trade to make there because just like TLT, the bonds, we've got schizophrenia occurring. We've got our biggest chart going down and our mid-range chart going up. We don't try to call bottoms. Now you can do anything you want. You can practice all the things you want to practice. I'm trying to use the rules that we've developed that are the safest. But if you are into taking risks with your virtual money, go ahead and do that. I encourage you to practice everything, okay? That's what we're all about. We're all about learning, because when you're using virtual money and you make mistakes, guess what? You don't go broke. When you switch over and you're using real money, let me tell you, you see that account go red, feels like somebody cut one of your toes off. You see it go really red, like you lost one or both of your legs. So we want to get used to not having the emotions cripple us and not be financially crippled. That's why we practice, because perfect practice makes perfect. Folks, that's where we are at the end of the day. Continue to watch the cues. You may have a trade that develops toward the end of the week. Could happen tomorrow, could happen on Wednesday as I'm cutting this for you on Tuesday night, but could happen on Wednesday, maybe toward the end of the week. We shall see. You know what? We don't force trades. We let the market tell us what to do. We don't listen to the talking heads. Remember, it's not about the noise. It's about the charts. Thank you so much, my friends. We love to hear from you. If you have questions, problems, concerns, go to the website, chartingwealth.com. Let us hear from you. And if you want to help us out, go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast. Doesn't take but a click of a button. Give us a 5-star rating. Say something nice about us. You guys in the past have made us as high as number 6 in the world when it comes to stock market podcast. And we like that position. So please help us out. And also go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Be one of the hundreds, the thousands there that subscribe. We very much appreciate that. Helps us out a lot too. We do this for you. People always ask me, why do you spend this kind of time and energy doing this? Because with all my degrees, with everything I've done in life, it wasn't until I really started studying just the markets that I learned how to do it. And I didn't learn it in college. I didn't learn it in law school. I didn't learn it when I got my MBA. I learned it on my own. And being a professor for many years and a practicing attorney and someone who loves investing, I decided to give back. And that's what we've been doing here for about, a year and a half now. We appreciate you. We hope you appreciate us. If you have questions, concerns, suggestions about what we can do to help you further, please let us know. At some point in time, we will probably monetize some portion of the site, maybe doing some intensive classes, because that takes a lot of my time. This takes about 30 minutes a day. That would take many, many hours, and I'm used to being paid a lot per hour. But this is my gift to you. Please enjoy it. I hope that it helps. And that's what we're about, is empowering you to get out there, read these charts. But if you don't do it, I'm not going to do it for you. You've got to do it yourself. 10 minutes, that's all we ask. God bless from chartingwealth.com.